Best.Podcast.Ever is sponsored by the Gertzberg Law Firm, a full-service business law firm in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls that's changing the way businesses retain their attorneys. Go to gertzberglaw.com to learn more. While you're there, check out Cover My Six, a complete legal audit of the 6 areas that most often create or prevent business lawsuits and government investigations. Go to covermysix.com to learn how we keep you safe. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the best podcast ever recorded.
Whatever energy I put behind it is what matters, not what content and how many beautiful PDFs and whatnot, so it's really my excitement and energy for what I'm teaching that brings more success than any amount of work.
Hey folks, Alex Gertzberg here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Best Podcast Ever. I appreciate that you're here and you're in for a great interview. I think it's great. You're going to love Allie. So Allie Hively is the founder and lifestyle consultant at Kijia Lifestyle Consulting. She is an entrepreneur. She's a fitness instructor. She has an app. So I guess she's an app designer or software guru. She is brilliant and energetic and positive. And we had this great conversation about habit forming and about staying positive and about good eating and fitness habits. I used this, as I always do, purely for selfish reasons to learn how to stay more fit and to think more positively about myself, my body, my thinking life. And she is a great resource for talking about those things. So enjoy this episode. It's a great time to be thinking positively, right? There's so much negativity and there's so much stress and anxiety out there. And she and I talk about a lot of great tools that can help people navigate through those stresses. Enjoy it. Thank you for joining, and I will see you on the other side. Thanks. Allie Hively, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex. Yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're here. And as I've said many times on this podcast, it is totally selfish and self-serving, and almost every question I'm going to ask you is for my own benefit. So, I need fitness and nutrition help right now.
Right?
Okay.
I know. Now's the time when we're, in a whole new world, in a whole new set of circumstances. So, yeah. Absolutely.
And to be clear, yes, you are a fitness and health consultant and instructor, but you are more than that. At least in my mind, you're an entrepreneur. You're a business owner. You're an idea person. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, yep, I'm certified in fitness. I teach group fitness. I've personal trained for years. But really where my heart is and where my passion is in lifestyle. So it's in that nutrition piece, that mindset piece, the sleep, the how you live each day, which includes exercise for sure. And it includes, all those things that we said, those daily habits. And that's really where my passion is. And that's really where my business is helping to create those lifestyle habits that move you forward, outside of just the workout.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you some general questions later. I want to ask some Alex Gertzberg specific, I've got a problem questions right now, if that's okay.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that I'm not the only one struggling with this stuff, right? So
absolutely.
Here's my first problem of many. We're quarantined.
Totally. Yeah.
I woke up, drank coffee, read something that got me into a positive mindset, read some did some journaling, some gratitude stuff, some meditating, and then bam, within 30 minutes of waking up, I'm in my gym downstairs, I'm doing a HIIT workout, or I'm outside running, right? That was BQ, before quarantine, right?
Mm-hmm,
so now what I'm realizing is my routine is all jacked up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know what happened, Allie, but like somehow I still do the journaling. I still do the gratitude stuff and the meditating, but my mind is sending this message. I'll get into that gym later. Right. And then
Totally.
I slow down, and then I get distracted. And the next thing I know, it's 4 PM and I've had a busy day and I'm not going into that gym now.
Yeah.
Have you been hearing things like that from your clients? And B, what should I do to get back into my old routine that worked for me?
That work for you? No, absolutely. I think anytime there's like a change of circumstances, it's kind of this opportunity in a good way to rewrite your routines, but then also you can lose those routines that were going really well. So I think, first of all, if you can identify what you want to implement again, and if it's just getting back to like, that exercise habit, if you have all those good ones, so celebrate the fact that you didn't lose them all. You still have, the journaling, the meditating, the good pieces in there. And then really think to yourself, okay, why do I need to get doing this? And really create that why around it. So because I feel better, because later in the day, I'm not going to have the energy to do it, because ultimately I feel stronger, all those whys that you can go through.
Yeah.
But then really, sometimes when you have too much time, or you have the ability to kind of create this schedule out of nothing, it's like, well, I could work out anytime. And so that it kind of equals no time,
Right.
So sometimes, so whether you can, if you're a type of person, I think we talked about this a little bit, but if you're the type of person that can say like, I'm going to work out at 7 and then you're going to hold yourself to it, that's awesome. If you're the type of person that needs someone else to, then you need to kind of reach out and maybe connect with a buddy to be like, hey, text me at 7 when you work out, or jump onto a group class. I mean, right now, there are so many opportunities to do a virtual workout from your basement, from Peloton app to like even Wembley local club, from everywhere in between. You can jump onto an actual time. And that might be something to look into. I know you're not like a big group fitness guy, but maybe since you're at your own house, having that commitment to say like, I'm going to sign up for this 6:30 class, all of a sudden you have something on your calendar and you're going to show up for it because it's there. So, a little bit of accountability might be just what you need to move you forward. And that can look so different for a lot of people. Like I said, some people it's a partner, a spouse, a friend. Some people it has to be like a trainer, a gym, a program. And some people can be accountable to themselves if they actually like put it in their calendar. So before you might not have needed to because you knew your day started this way and then you're on your way. But now it's like, is it in your calendar? Maybe it needs to get there with a 5-minute reminder,
Let's unpack that for a second, right? So help me, and I can only assume help listeners and people.
Absolutely. You are not alone.
Yeah, people who are as stubborn as I am, right? Intellectually, I know that an accountability group or partner will do the trick, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So intellectually, in my mind, logically, I know that works. I know people swear by it. I know that brilliant fitness minds like yours are constantly talking about it, right? How do I get past this idea that I have? I just don't, I don't need that pressure, right? I don't want, like, I've got enough pressure in my life. I don't want the added pressure of having to answer to other people. Like, how do I get past that mental block?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I think it comes down to how important is it for you to do the thing, right? I mean, if it's like, I don't want that added pressure, but I really need that workout in. I mean, sometimes it's the idea of like, it's a little uncomfortable, but you have to get a little uncomfortable to change a little bit. I'm not saying like to get into a painful position, but you might have to put yourself out there and add a little of that good amount of stress where someone is saying like, hey, where are you? And that's going to be the push that you need. So I think recognizing like, okay, you don't want the discomfort of the pressure, but at the same time, do you not want that more than you want the result, or do you want, what you're looking for?
I think you said it right there. I think it comes down to how bad do you want it, right? It's like there's this. Where did I hear it? I think it might be like a Buddhist story about this. I'll try not to I'll try not to butcher it or take too long explaining it, but there's like the story about how there's a monk walking in front of a farmer. The farmer is sitting next to his dog. He throws the stick. The dog goes to get the stick, and the monk realizes that the dog was sitting on a spike that was going into his butt. And he comes back, sits back on it, screams, but doesn't get off. And then the farmer throws the stick out. Same thing happens, comes back, sits on the spike, screams or barks, but doesn't get off and then the monk says to the farmer, why is that dog continuously going back and sitting on this spike if it's obviously painful to him? And the farmer says, because it's obviously not painful enough. It's not painful enough for him to stop, right? And I think that that's true, right, of most like habits. And, fitness is one of those habits. I mean, there's sweat, there's work, there's steps involved, right? It's hard stuff. And so I guess, I mean, do you build that concept into like sort of the psychology, the persuasion, the conversations that you have with your clients? Like how bad do you really want this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that's not really my approach, but I do think there is that element of real talk where you're like, okay, look, if you want to change your body, if you want to change your lifestyle, it's not going to look like it looks now. So that is definitely like an important conversation to have. Like you can't get, a different result with the same thing. So at the same time, my whole thing with exercise is like there's a million ways to exercise and you don't have to do something you hate. You don't need to go run on a treadmill for 5 miles, hating every single step. You could swim, you could walk, you could play a sport, you could do a yoga class. There are millions of ways to exercise and move your body. Now, if you're trying to achieve a specific result, like, that you need to be doing weightlifting or you need to be doing something specific, then that's different. But if you're training for your life, if you're training to feel good, if you're training to, show up more as yourself, then and you hate it so much, then I would challenge you to look for other opportunities for exercise. So like, have you really explored a variety of options? Because at this point, just saying that you hate it so much, you haven't found the right thing that fits who you are and what you're looking for yet. And so I think that's more of my approach. And then also that conversation, like if you're trying to achieve a specific result, yes, you do have to know that like you have to put in the work and, whatever. But I think when it comes to just like exercise in general, then absolutely there's something for everyone. And I would encourage you to just try all the things until you find that thing. And to really know that like that thing doesn't always last. So maybe you ran a marathon when you were 25 or 30 or whatever, and now you're older and you have these kids and this business and this and that. It's not going to look the same. So you kind of have to keep revisiting what it is for you right now, not think like, this used to work for me then. Why isn't it working? Well, a lot of things have changed, including you're getting older, but also just like your personality, your life circumstances, all these things have changed. So honoring where you are right now and what feels good right now, and then, getting that in to be the habit. So I think that's more of my philosophy. Although, yeah, you do have to get uncomfortable. I'm not saying that it's easy. It's more simple.
I think you made such a great point just now, though, about how we all change, including how we, at least in my mind, how we respond to, to change in our lives, right? And also like just, I feel like, I'm 45. At different times in my life, I responded to habit forming techniques differently, right?
Totally.
There's this author, Charles Duhigg. I think he was a New York Times reporter, and he wrote a book called The Power of Habit.
Yep.
And he writes about how there's not a one size fits all for anybody. And the thing that clicked for you at one time of your life is not going to click for you 5 years down the road. Right.
Absolutely.
So you wear a lot of entrepreneurial hats, right? You've got an app. You're also, you're also a fitness instructor, right? Right. Mm-hmm. How do you typically, like throughout your day, relate to your clients? How do you interact with them? Is it through fitness instruction, or is it through other ways too?
Yeah, no. So my clients, my personal clients for Kijia, my company, are all through Zoom, or basically all through Zoom. And so it's interesting. I've been using Zoom for the past couple of years, and it's been great because it gives you that, of course, not the same as being together, but it really eliminates an obstacle of having to like get together, whether you're across the country or even in the same town. It still adds that element of getting together. So I use Zoom for all my meetings and like my group coaching calls. And then fitness, I teach classes, so anyone can go to that. And then, I deliver content through the app. And so most of the work, and then I use Facebook groups for communities or some other Slack platforms.
So that's a lot. And so in addition,
a lot of connection.
What's that?
And then there's lots of connection, right?
Yeah. No. So, but in addition to that, are you also doing one-on-one, like coaching, one-on-one, customizing people's like fitness plans and nutrition plans and stuff like that?
So I don't do like specific fitness plans like a personal trainer. I do lifestyle habit plans. So I do work one-on-one with clients to like create the habits, overcome obstacles, beliefs, mindset that is in the way of what they, are trying to create in their life. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's key in on just those one-on-one sessions right now. Do you find that that concept of there is no one size fits all, do you find that people respond to habit changing techniques differently, or is there a methodology that you use that just generally works for everybody?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I guess the answer is like yes and no. The methodology, I feel like it's more of a framework that helps people to figure out what works for them. So it's like, yes, there's a framework, but also it's definitely not one size fits all on what works. So when you think about changing habits, so often people have really lost touch with themselves. And so it's kind of like they forget what feels natural to them because they're so conditioned to think like, I should try this, I should try this, I should try this. And by the time that I work with them, which is really anytime they've tried a million things on lifestyle or diet or exercise or whatever change they're trying to make. And so they're kind of lost in what feels best, what feels most natural, what is most natural to their personality. So I use such a combination. It's all based in like really asking questions, learning about the person, helping them learn about themselves through a variety of like worksheets and journaling and specific kind of interview style questionnaires together. And then it's amazing because so often people figure out for themselves, they know intuitively, they've just lost it along the way to say like, I have a client who hates cooking. And at one point she's like, I'm going to do a paleo diet. I'm like, that's a lot of, meal prep and this and that, because it's all like whole food based and you're constantly needing to cook or whatever. And it's like, oh, that doesn't really fit her, which while she can eat that way, that's totally one thing. But just like, really honoring what you like to do, who you are, what's necessary for your life is something that people have gotten away from. So yes, I dive into like who you are, what's natural to you, what feels good. And then also a lot of like, I think we talked earlier about Gretchen Rubin. She's like a habit specialist. So I use a lot of her frameworks where, how do you respond to expectations? Do you need more support and accountability from an external, like, for example, me or from a friend or whatever? Or is that something that like when we create the plan for you, you're able to run with it? Do you need to understand it more? So deep diving into all this, so much is based on awareness too, because oftentimes people they're unaware of what they're actually doing because we do so much automatically that they're like, oh, as soon as you bring that awareness to what's happening, it's like they can make some small shifts that have big impact, but they didn't even notice what they were doing. Does that make sense? So, that's kind of a loaded question, but yes, it's a framework of bringing them in, helping them really tap into who they are, what's natural to them, and then also identifying where they want to go, and then making sure the foundations are really set, because you can't get, from point A to Z without like going along the steps and saying like, okay, but are you sleeping? How's your mindset? Like, are you able to, what's your energy levels? Like all of these things that play into like getting you to your actual result.
What is the low hanging fruit that you find? What is the blockage? What is the hack that um, you have found to be just the most obvious thing that helps people like immediately, just kind of change their routine, change their life? What's obvious to you?
That's such a good question. So I think one of the things is like reminding them that they have a choice in everything. So it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to this party and like there's this and this and this. It's like you get to choose what you do. And that is a huge like, oh, it's just this reminder in everything. You get to choose. You get to choose everything. You get to choose what you put on your plate. You get to choose what time you go to bed. Now, granted, you have responsibilities you have to take care of, but people give up their choices and then they forget that they have the power to choose so much of their life, that is the one thing that, like, by giving permission back to you to make your choices yours and not like what you used to do, what you should do, what your friend does. That's a huge, huge shift right there.
I love that. You're so right. And it seems intuitive and obvious, but I think, is it the problem that people don't, they forget that they have choices because they're so bogged down, and I'm one of them.
Absolutely. Me too.
And by, like, you think you're kind of like a robot sometimes, right? Like you get distracted easily by TV or by snacks, or in my case, by work. And that's such a great epiphany to be like, wait a second, I can choose where I spend the next 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be an email.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a big one. It's a big epiphany, and it's a big, it's not easy, because you're like, okay, now I have all this power. And sometimes that's uncomfortable because you do now have the power to like change things around a little bit, but it is a huge shift when you really take that power back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Allie, you reminded me of the fact that, like, of a conversation that I've been having with a lot of people who work from home already, right? Like, and it's funny, like a lot of my software clients, software developers and software companies, they're like, we've been working from home this whole time, right? This is not, right? Have you seen any change really pre-quarantine to post-quarantine in your business or in your client base?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I recently partnered with a neurologist on, we worked together to create this program that's specifically for brain health in caregivers, and we've launched it to healthcare providers. So I have had a lot more healthcare professionals, which they're not working in the home, and that has been an interesting challenge just because they are on the front line. So that has been a lot of stress management, a lot of kind of rewriting what those foundations of their life look like right now, and they don't look the same as what they did, So that has been a shift in business. And then also a lot of my clients, professional women and men who worked from home or didn't, but they had a little leverage on their day. So they could still, meet during the day on Zoom or whatever. And that really hasn't changed, which is nice because they're still in control of their day. They're still able to schedule meetings or attend calls. So I think, I think people need more support than ever. So whether they're open yet at the moment, because it's hard to get support when you're underwater. And so I think as people are starting to like get more into this routine and they're realizing this isn't going to be over anytime really immediately, then finding ways to build in that support for themselves, whether it's like through a program or working with someone. I've worked with a new coach since quarantine started for me because I just feel like there's so many new obstacles, and now's the time to really, get support because we have all these extra duties and responsibilities that we've had to take on, and then something has to give. Like, who's supporting who, So so it's definitely been interesting.
You just talked about stress and helping. I commend you so much, Allie, for I did see that you've been focusing a lot of your energy and attention on healthcare workers, which is amazing that you do that. What is your general go-to advice for helping people manage stress?
Yeah, that's so stress is tricky, and it's really so personal, something that stresses someone out doesn't stress their neighbor out and vice versa. So again, it comes down to like, what are your main stress points? And it's okay to own them. Something like your house being a mess might not bother you, or someone else that might be like really, really hard for them in a stressful way. So I think first getting really clear on like what stresses you out the most, and how do you actually feel stressed? Because that's another thing people have kind of lost touch of. Do you get a headache? Do you get like that tight chest? What does it feel like for you? And what are the main triggers of it? And then how do you build it in during the day? Because it's another thing that people have a lot of preconceived notions on, like, oh, I need to start going to yoga, or, oh, I need to start meditating for an hour. And it's like, it can look totally different for each person. And I know in the past, yoga was something that actually stressed me out. Like, it was hard for me to settle my mind down in a class. It made me like actually anxious. Now I'm not there. I love it, but it took a long time to get there. And so I think like really recognizing that journaling, for example, I'm such a big journaler, and I have a lot of clients who are like, that is really overwhelming. It's like, then don't do that. You don't have to do that. You need to tap into like what your stress release is. Maybe it's a walk in nature. Maybe it's listening to a song in your car on the way home from work while you're transitioning, like, especially with those healthcare workers, you're leaving work, your day has been crazy, and you need to take a pause in your car before you go in. All of those things work, and all of them are okay. So just honoring yourself and what you need again for the moment.
I'm glad that that we're talking about journaling though, because I've been convinced for so long, Allie, that one of the biggest things holding most people back is memory, right? We know what makes us feel good. We know, because we're grown-ups, what has made us de-stressed in the past, right? But the problem is that when you're in that, limbic fight or flight, or anxious moment, whatever you want to call it, your memory is only of other stressful times, right? You're not remembering.
Absolutely.
You're not remembering your toolbox of all of those things, whether it was, like loud music through headphones, that always helps me, or
Ooh, me too.
Right? Or a workout, or whatever it is. Everybody at some point has developed a toolbox of things that have de-stressed them. To me, I literally, I don't know if you do this, but I use Evernote for everything. And it's like OneNote. It's basically just like notes.
I use Evernote too. Yeah, I love it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I've got a note in there called break glass in case of emergency, right? And that is what I need to read when I'm like seized in stressed out fight or flight, just like terrified of what's happening in that moment. And when I read it, it literally is like, take a deep breath, start there, right? Then take another one. Maybe listen to some music, maybe go for a run, maybe meditate, and then or whatever, right? But just like get out of this moment.
Exactly.
And it took a lot of journaling and a lot of writing to get to a place where I realized that I need this instruction manual for myself,
That is awesome.
I guess my point was, I often forget what my point is, but I think what my point was.
Yeah, you're on it. You're on track.
Like we have the power as humans to recall what has made us feel good and relaxed and calm, because we've been there. We've felt relaxed and calm. What I'm convinced we need break glass in case of emergency, like just something to remind us of what to do. Do you find any of that to be relevant? Like, do you, like, in terms of needing a reminder, or your client?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's huge. I think the reminder is brilliant. And so this is interesting. The more you practice when you're not stressed, then the easier it is to go there when you are. And I think that's where it's like prevention, so that's where like building that muscle of like, I'm journaling, this feels good, or I'm meditating, this feels good. And I'm doing it under no pressure because I don't have this crazy stress. And then when you do, you are so much more likely to go there more easily. If that's not something that you practice, then it doesn't. So it's like practicing those stressful behaviors, and they're like on the top of your mind, like you said, for a memory. So you can access them quickly because they're a part of your world and they're part of what you do. If you don't have any stress management techniques and you don't have that manual written for yourself, when you go into this fight or flight state, you don't know where to go. So I think, like you said, bringing awareness, whether that's through journaling, even just like thinking like, yeah, I mean, journaling is phenomenal. I think I understand how people have trouble getting there. And if you do, I will say my number one tip is start with lists, because lists are so easy to write. They flow off. There's no like judgment to a list. It's not like, oh, this writing isn't good enough or whatever. So just start with lists, like what feels good, list it out, or what feels bad, whatever it is, what do I want to let go of? What do I want to? So just starting with those lists can help you start to build that habit of journaling, where a lot of people, they can't get the words on the paper because they're like, what should I write? It's like, start anywhere, but a list is a great, easy place. And for example, a list of times you feel your best, a list of times that you feel really good, a list of things that make you feel good, is a perfect place to start. But I agree, like the more top of mind you have, that you have these things. And that's why I love my clients to practice them, or anyone, my kids, like everyone, just a little bit at a time in a non-stressful environment, because then they're there when you really need them.
I read a LinkedIn post that you wrote. I don't remember how long ago it was, but it had to have been in the last few months. And you made, speaking of list, you made a list of like things you can do like right now to get into to sort of launch a more healthy lifestyle, to start, planning it and then implementing it, right? And one of the things halfway in there, I loved what you said. You wrote, start with the smallest increment, right? If you feel overwhelmed, start small. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to create some wins. Yeah. You have to create some success. And so, oftentimes when you go to create a change, you go to get on this new program, this new plan, all these things, you go for this huge change, and then you don't see something quickly, you don't have a win, or it's too hard to maintain, and then you give up before you start. So you need to start small so that you can get some wins under your belt, and you can prove yourself to be right, to be like, this is easy. Okay, I can do this. This is easy. And that's whatever that looks like, whether that's water, push-ups, getting up 5 minutes earlier. Whenever my clients are like, how do I wake up earlier? It's like, you don't go from waking up at 7 or 6:30 to 5. You go to like 6:15, and then you go to 6. And then, so you're constantly just like giving yourself those little wins, and not, and then celebrating them. So you're feeling success, because success feels good no matter what we do. When we feel successful, it feels good. And that's what I really like to train my clients on, celebrating small things as well as big things, because if you don't celebrate small things, then that's the journey. That's every day, so getting in that mode of just like celebrating these little wins. And then all of a sudden you have some momentum, which is where it takes you where you want to go. Yeah.
Allie, so you were not always a personal trainer or an entrepreneur. Give us the brief run up to that. What's the entrepreneurial journey look like for Allie Hively?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So it's funny, because when I was a kid, and I grew up in Lake Lucerne, and a lot of my little campers out there, I started a camp. And so I ran this camp for like 10 years. So looking back, I was an entrepreneur way back, starting when I was like 12. And then I went to college for elementary education, and I taught 3rd grade when I lived in Columbus until we had kids. And then we had kids and moved to Cleveland. And I actually started cooking. I got back into teaching fitness classes, and I started cooking healthy meals for people. And so I was doing that and teaching classes. And 3 kids later, I realized what I needed was better habits, and what all of my clients needed was better habits, better mindset, better day to day. So they didn't have to work so hard in the gym, or working so hard in the gym doesn't even work if you're not supporting yourself with all the other things. And so fast forward, like I said, to all having kids, and really understanding myself and what my clients need. And that was just like the daily habits and the mindset and the energy that supported all of that. And so, so I really dove into like, what does this look like? How can I teach, go back to my roots of teaching? How can I teach people and support them through this? And now that's what's brought me here. So my business I've been doing for 3 years, like I said, working one-on-one with clients, doing lunch and learns and workshops and speaking at, conferences and things like that. So yeah, it's been a great journey.
So, have you been a business owner for those 3 years or for before the 3 years?
So my business, Kijia, 3 years, but I had my cooking business, which was just like cooking for a couple clients and then personal training, which was before. So that was like 12 years or so.
All right. So you've been an entrepreneur for 12 years.
Yes.
So the one of the sort of underlying premises of this podcast is to speak to entrepreneurs. Can you remember a time when you experienced, well, let's start here. Can you remember a time when you saw a blind spot in your business or with one of your clients and how you turned it around or how you addressed it?
Yeah, that's great. I think at the beginning, especially, I shouldn't say that. The beginning, probably like 2 years ago, I really got stuck on the way I was going, the business model, basically. So I decided, these people have had success coaching and working with clients in this way. And so I need to do it this way. And that didn't work well for me. It worked for a while. It worked at the beginning, but I'm such a person that loves to collaborate and be a little bit in all of these different areas, still with my same mission, but I love to be in a corporate setting. I love to be working one-on-one. I love to be working on a group, with groups. And so I was getting coached and I was getting messages from the industry that was like, you need to do it this way, like stick to one thing, only have your program. And so for a while, I really was questioning like, ooh, should I do this? Like this, I don't like to stay so contained. And so that was a trick. And probably about a year ago, I went back to like, this isn't, this I need to do it my way. Basically, I took my own advice that I give on lifestyle and like needed to apply it to my business, which was like, there isn't one right way and it has to work for you if you want to sustain it. So
and you told me this before, but Kijia comes from.
So Kijia means path in Swahili. And yeah, my brother actually helped me name it. We were running on a path in California where he lives. And he was like, I think you need something like this. This was 4 or 5 years ago. And it needs to mean something, but it can also mean a lot of things. So yeah, it's helping people to get on their own path.
Yeah, KijiaLiving.com, folks. You got to go there and check it out. Your website is really set up nicely. It's very elegant, but there's a lot of good information in there too. Kijia Living, AIJIA living.com, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And then so in talking to entrepreneurs, one of my favorite things to uncover, to extract from them is stories of overcoming personal or business failure, because I'm convinced that you cannot be an entrepreneur without having those, right? If you let those conquer you, then you've stopped becoming an entrepreneur, and then you're not on this podcast and we're not even talking. But if you're an entrepreneur, that means that by definition, you have overcome personal or business failure and you're on the other side of it. And by the way, there's still more to come and you're going to keep going. But what's a time that you can remember where you have broken through or overcome a failure or a learning experience, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a ton of those. Yeah, personal and in business. I think so much of my business is built on my own failures in the past. So like things I've done in nutrition where it's like I've tried all the diets and I've put myself through the ringer of mindset and I've, worked out so much that just didn't serve me well. And so much of what I actually do is because I've been there and that hasn't worked well. And so that's where I am now from a personal standpoint. And then from a business standpoint, I mean, that is something that really takes a lot of, getting used to, is just failing and trying different stuff. And I would say with my line of work. So I'm putting together programs, I'm putting together lifestyle programs. And I put together a program before. I have multiple programs that, I do all this work to get it going, and it doesn't draw in people. It's not what they're looking for. It's not what, it just doesn't draw in people. And so that has had to be a continuous ego releasing of just like, okay, like this isn't the end of the world. This isn't meant to be. This didn't go well, whatever. And so what I've really come to learn, and I know that this will continue reminding me, but like whatever energy I put behind it is what matters, not what content and how many beautiful PDFs and whatnot, so it's really my excitement and energy for what I'm teaching that brings more success than any amount of work. But I feel like I failed by putting so much work in and then not getting it out there to bring in, the clients that I'm looking for.
Well, isn't it too, like, I swear it's like the curse or the burden of the entrepreneur. Like we all have, I believe, this, if I just build this, they will all come, right? We all have this sort of slightly delusional, vision thing happening. And then
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
I think that the job of the visionary in any organization is to throw 10 things against the wall and break through the 9 that are going to be complete, like fall on your face, go nowhere things. But that 10th one is going to be money,
It's so true. Yes. Yeah. And the problem is, like, I like to create them. So then you do all this work because you enjoy your work, and then you have built this thing and it still doesn't go. So yeah, exactly.
Well, and the lesson there, honestly, Allie, for me personally, has always been, you've got to just enjoy the journey and detach yourself from the result.
Totally. I love that reminder. Yes.
There's a billion like variations and permutations that cause somebody to hit like or hit buy, purchase, whatever, show up. Right. And from the macroeconomic to the personal individual, there's so many things that can get in the way of you connecting with somebody. But if you enjoy the work, that's everything.
Absolutely. Yes, I totally agree. And so you're right. I do love it. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. That's where it's like, it's okay. Let's just pivot or whatever it is. But that is so true. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you ready for the lightning round questions?
I don't know. Am I ready? All right, let's do it.
I don't know. I think that you will be implementing all of the de-stressing mechanisms that you have created for your clients.
I know. Where's my meditation music right now?
No, I'm totally joking. It's not that stressful. There is one stressful question at the end that tends to stress people out, but I got a feeling you'll do just fine. Okay, ready? Here's the lightning round.
Do it.
What is the non-religious book or author whose words you apply the most in your life on a day-to-day basis?
I like You're a Badass. That's a good one. Yep. That's a good one. I would say just about the energy that you put out, what you get back, how you create your own reality. I think it's a positive, it's a lighthearted read that like I feel like can apply every day to just like channel your badass as a mom, as a business owner, as a whatever human being, and I'm not much of like a badass person. So that's why I think maybe I like to just focus on that positive, but it's so much about what you put out into the world.
Allie, don't kid yourself. You're a badass.
I am a badass. What are we kidding? Right. Exactly.
You need to go back and read that book.
Exactly.
Well, here, wait. Can I ask you a question about that? Because I passed by it on the bookshelf a million times, and at the
have you read it?
No, I haven't. I haven't stopped. I've seen it and I've thought about it.
Right here.
Is the idea that you need to actually just tell yourself that you're a badass? Is the premise of the book to tell yourself that you're a badass?
Yeah. So that's the part, like it doesn't speak to me in the badass like that way. That's what I'm saying. Like that word doesn't like necessarily really resonate with me, but the way the whole book is about just like basically taking your power back and owning your energy and really creating your reality. So you're in charge of your life and like what you put out and, you know, all that kind of thing. So the energy that you put out, you get back. The way that you picture yourself, really channeling like your best self and then bringing that everywhere you go. She uses, I mean, she calls it your badass energy. And I think that resonates with her. I've actually seen her, Jen Sincero. She spoke at Parma Library. She did like a book talk a year ago or so. And yeah, she's a good story. And she it's light reading because she writes like that. And so you're just kind of like floating through it. Like, yeah, you're right. I am. So it kind of builds you up in that way, which is good.
Interesting. Might have to check out the YouTube.
To check it out. Yeah.
All right. If you were a professional boxer, what song is playing when you walk into the ring?
Ooh, okay. So what song is playing like today? If it's May 12th?
Close your eyes. You're walking into the ring.
Yeah.
The crowd is on their feet. They're going nuts.
Right.
There's a song playing through the loudspeakers. What is the song that you want to hear when you're walking into that ring?
So I'm such a big music. I shouldn't say I'm not like people would be like, what? No, you're not. But I am from I teach spinning. So I love those like powerful songs. So that's what I was saying. Like today, my song of the day, like my song of the past 2 weeks is, have you heard it? It's Pitbull. I believe that you will win. So that like literally, I was just playing that for my husband before this podcast because I was like getting pumped up, and that would be today. Today is whatever day in May this is. I believe that we will win. Yeah, if I'm a boxer walking in there today, that's totally gonna play. Now, if it was like 2 weeks ago, I would have had a different because I always have like my song of the time that I play on repeat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like it. That's a good tune. Okay. If you could ask one question of anyone who ever lived, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Is this the stressful question?
No, we're not even. No.
Not even there? Oh man. Okay. I don't even know. One person ever? I have so many.
Maybe it is the stressful question.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Can I come back to it?
You can take a pass. That's fine.
Okay, let me take a pass on this one. I'm gonna get back to you though. I am gonna get back to you. That's a great question. What's yours?
I would ask. I think I would ask Bob Dylan what he thought was his like muse, his inspiration for coming up with all those songs. I'd like to know what his creative process was. And it's stupid because I could probably look it up because they've probably written a billion books on it.
Yeah.
It's
you
like,
want to hear from him.
Yeah. Like I'd like to hear, man, what if I totally threw that question away and there was a lot of people say I would ask Jesus a question. It's probably something more profound. You know what? I'm sticking with Bob Dylan. That's what I'm going
Bob
with.
Dylan. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question.
Listen, no pressure.
Kind of limiting to me. I feel like I couldn't decide on one question and one person.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. We're going to take a pass on that, but now you're not allowed to take any more passes.
All right.
No, I'm totally kidding. You can tell me to piss off. You can answer whatever questions you want. Okay. Ooh, what is a habit or routine that has given you the most mileage that you do on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, that's exercise. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like so many good things in one activity. It's like my mind. Have you seen that picture? It's like a person's mind that has like all these explosives and like bombs and everything. And then before exercise and then after exercise, it's like flowers and rainbows and unicorns. Like that is it, from the sweat to the mindset shift, the music, just all of it. Mm-hmm. You know, and then if you add group fitness, I love people, like to connect with people too. So it's like, yeah.
You know what? My girlfriend, she does group fitness. She used to go to this one class in Canton, I think it was. And now that fitness instructor does it through YouTube entirely. And she goes down there, but it's not really group fitness anymore, right? It's just one fitness. But I don't know. I can't get. I couldn't imagine. I know people love the group fitness. People swear by it, but I don't know.
I know we talked about this before. What is you just like to be that solo time?
I like being in my gym downstairs. Yeah. You know what I do? I should check your app out, because tell me if your app does this. So I use this app called Down Dog for yoga, but then they just came out with this HIIT app, right? High intensity interval training.
Yeah.
And so here's what I do. I pop that baby onto my laptop, and then I put my portable speaker on there, and I just put like Fish or Metallica or like just something loud and energetic up, and I can see what he's doing, and I can hear him telling me what to do, but I'm hearing the music, and so that's when I do it for like 45 minutes. Do you do something like that with your app?
No, I don't do fitness on my app. I only teach at Wembley. That like we stream now, but I don't teach classes on my app. I mean, it's not a bad idea, but I feel like I don't want to be solely responsible for people's fitness, and I like the variety they can get from there. Can I
ask you a HIIT related question though? Now that I've talked to a fitness instructor, what is because Down Dog lets you customize all of your intervals by time and by intensity.
Yeah.
I have mine set at 30 seconds of activity and 40 seconds of rest. What is the optimal HIIT interval between activity and rest in your mind?
Okay, that's a good question. So depends on your fitness level and your rest. I change it up all the time. I think not sticking to one is huge. So like if I teach one day I'll do 45 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Then the next week I'll do 30 seconds on, 10. I never do more rest than work.
Is that right?
Yeah. That bad.
I'm such a wimp.
That's a good idea. I know. I would just be like, do. Like, let's just go. Let's just get it done.
Well, the thing is, right, so I've got OCD, so I researched the heck out of it, and it was all over the map. And some people were like, gave your interval, right, like 30 on, 10 off or something like that. But then, like, maybe it's one of those things where you believe what you want to believe. I latched on to the people that were like, oh, no. The rest period is actually way more important than the activity period. And in fact, it has to be at least 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. And I'm like, yes, that's the one I'm doing right there.
No, that's awesome. Well, it depends on your goals too. Like if you're trying to really gain strength, you need more rest. If you're trying to but if you're doing for a HIIT workout, you're trying to get your heart rate up the whole time, then I think like, honestly, it's whatever you're going to do. So if you're going to do that workout, that's the workout for you. If you're going to, perfect.
Okay.
You're doing it right.
Can I go back to that lightning round?
Yeah.
Because actually, it should have been obvious to me that you were going to say exercise. Okay. Taking exercise off the table.
Ooh, off the table.
What I should have said is, other than exercise, what is a habitual routine that you do on a day-to-day basis that gives you the most mileage?
Okay, so that's journaling. Yeah, for sure. Yep, journaling for sure. I do it in the morning. I do it with coffee. I make it like this really juicy, luxurious experience where I like sit on the couch. It's almost like an extension of waking up, and then I have my coffee and it's quiet, and I just kind of unload. I have my like routine where I like do all my gratitude stuff, and then I just unload, and then I kind of do my intention. And that really is, because I feel like I can process so many emotions that way. Meaning like, if I'm feeling like anxious about stuff, if I'm whatever, then I'm able to like set the intention of what I want and like pre-program my mind for the day. So that's huge. Yeah.
Another thing about journaling that I think the science backs up is that one reason why it's so therapeutic and helpful is that it takes the thoughts. I think that what psychologists and what therapists have said is that by taking them out of your head and putting them onto some paper or whatever, what you're doing is you're sending the message that you are not your thoughts. right?
Yeah.
And so stressful thoughts, self-conscious thoughts, insecure thoughts, you by putting them outside of your body, outside of your head, and now you just turn them into words. Now you see that that's all they are. They're words, and they're not necessarily who you are, right? Do you
Yeah.
find that to be true?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a huge way. Like Dr. Mary Russell, she's local, and we've been doing this brain program, and we're, focusing on optimizing your brain. And so much of that, like you said, the research is like for your brain, you need to process emotions. And just what that means is like basically recognize them, create awareness around them, which journaling really does. It's saying like, it's not like this feeling in your body that's spinning around. It's like, I'm, nervous about this, or I'm anxious, or I'm scared. And so exactly that, you're taking the power out of it by like calling it what it is. And then you can recognize it's not you, it's just a feeling.
Right.
So
Right.
absolutely.
Okay. What is the metric you use at the end of a day to determine whether it's been a good day?
Good question. So, I would say like I used to say my to-do list and my accomplishments. Now I would say like my energy that I put out to everyone. So like, was I snapping at everyone all day, or was I like, that's fine that you spilled milk all over everywhere, we'll just clean it up, or like, so how I respond to people is now my new gauge instead of like to-do list. It's like, was I able to just like handle what came at us and just roll with it? That is if I wasn't, then that's not a great day. If I was, then that's a great day.
I'm laughing because you and I have only spoken a few times, but I'm imagining, what does it look like when Allie snaps at you? Like, is that like, what is that?
Oh my gosh, right?
Like, I couldn't imagine what you
Scary.
snapping at somebody looks like. Folks, if you're listening and you've had Allie snap at you, write in the comments or send us an email. Tell us what that felt like.
This is scary. That's why it's a bad day.
Okay, related question. What is the metric that you will use at the end of your life to determine whether you've had a life well lived?
Love that. Okay, so my mission is to empower people to live their best life in their own way. So that is like that'll be my metric. Like, did I help others really raise their vibration? Did I help others like feel the best they could about themselves? Did I, whether that was teaching them or supporting them or bringing them along the way, like, did I have an impact on other people that allowed them to be more of themselves?
Awesome. Okay, this is the stressful one. This is the last one.
All right.
If you need to take a shot of vodka or something,
let's do it.
What is an embarrassing thing about yourself that only a few people know, and for extra credit, that no one else knows?
Ooh, that is stressful.
It's tough. It's a tough question. Like, not a lot of people, handle this one well. So
yeah,
I'm just joking.
Like my embarrassment filter has gone down with 3 kids, right? You're just kind of like, it is what it is. I don't like trying to think of the last time I was really embarrassed. I mean, I definitely sweat a lot, but that could be embarrassing in situations, but also like not, because, I would say like that probably could be it, because I would like dress appropriately to accommodate for that. So people wouldn't really know that like as much as I love talking in front of people, I still like get nervous and like be like, oh my gosh. So I guess you could say that, although like sweating doesn't really embarrass me anymore, because I like sweat all over people when I exercise, but not in real clothes. In real clothes, like you don't want to be sweating. So then you have to buy the shirts that like don't show sweat if you are sweating. And so I guess it would be that, which I've never actually admitted. I just like handle. So that's kind of putting it out there.
That was an awesome explanation. I wonder if you like, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but maybe you actually don't sweat a lot. You just think you do. I mean, because you know what I mean? Like, you're a fitness instructor. Like you're always.
No, I sweat a lot. Yeah, I sweat a lot.
By objective measures, you are. You're saying you're a heavy.
I'm saying like, what if I was like giving a presentation at a conference and I was like sweating under my armpit, and like that could happen, but I would wear a shirt that like you wouldn't be able to tell. So that's like a lot. Like for exercise, it's okay that you sweat a lot, right? But yeah, I guess that would be it.
But I'm saying like doesn't
everybody,
like when they're nervous or when they're in a hot environment sweat a lot, or do some people? No, I know you're right. I think some people are heavier sweaters than others.
Yeah.
But you know what though? Like I've always felt like the people that I know who sweat more than others are like really like overweight and like have like body regulation issues. Which are you sure?
I feel like like if I'm nervous, I will, but that's where I feel like my sweat's just like ready to come out because I sweat all the time for exercise, which I love sweating, but not like, I don't know. That's what I told myself. I'm like, maybe my sweat's just like at the top of the surface.
Maybe your sweat glands are like, this is what we do.
This is what we do. You're exerting energy, whether it's like giving a presentation or exercising. So, I'm going to have to think, that's embarrassing though. I would like just handle that,
Yeah. Oh, well, it sounds like you've developed some good coping mechanisms for that.
Exactly.
I can tell you that in the history, I should know what episode this is, but it's in the 120s. And I can tell you that in the history of this podcast, you just participated in the longest personal sweat-related discussion ever.
Oh my God. We could totally keep going. We could do like a whole show about sweat and how people have different sweat habits, but we'll save everyone for that.
We'll save that for next time. Allie, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so grateful to you.
Thank you. I love this podcast and I love listening to everyone's stories, and you are just a fantastic interviewer, conversationalist. I mean, we could talk all day. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So let's send people to the right places. Okay. There's KijiaLiving.com.
Yep.
There's BrainOpsGroup.com, which is this joint venture thing that you're doing with this doctor, right?
Yep, Dr. Mary Renzel. Yeah, she's local to Chagrin, and she is a neurologist, and we are working. That's our company. So that's where we go into companies and organizations and help them optimize their brain through stress. Yep.
And then tell me about MissionBeautifulBrain.com.
So Mission Beautiful Brain is the healthcare program. So these are kind of like two offshoots of Kijia, which is like my main company. And so those are specific programs for that. So yeah, exactly. That's a caregiver and healthcare.
So if you're in healthcare, if you're a caregiver, you want to go to missionbeautifulbrain.com, and Allie will give you the good stuff there. And you are at Allie.Hively on Instagram, and you're easy to find on the interweb. So folks.
Exactly.
Allie, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So are you. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And this was wonderful.
All right. See you guys. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you've listened this far, then you're like Allie's husband probably. And
and my mom, definitely my mom.
Hi, Allie's mom. And thank you all very much for listening this far and for being a fan. I hope you're a fan. And if you're not a fan and you want to be a fan, there's like stuff you could do. If you're watching this, there's a link somewhere below here that you can click and subscribe, or go to thebest.podcast.ever.com and subscribe there. Or there's like the Facebook page, and there's there's the subscribe on the webpage, and then you'll get the blog. Anyway, do any of those things and leave comments and reviews, and and we will see you next time. Thanks, folks. Allie, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we thank you for listening. And remember to check out the Gertzberg Law Firm. Whether you are starting, running, growing, or transitioning a business, or if you need to create or update your wills, trust, or estate plan, our team will give you an incredible level of personalized attention and a passionate commitment to meet your objectives. We are veteran-owned, and our award-winning lawyers have the highest ranking from Super Lawyers and Avo. We have also recently received the coveted Weatherhead 100 Upstarts Award for a second year in a row, and we are among the first Ohio business law firms to offer our clients a non-billable alternative on every single matter we handle for them, and opt out of the billable hour. What we are most proud of, though, are the many things our clients rely on us for. We successfully defend them in court, but we also help them avoid the courtroom with our Cover My Six service. We protect their assets through good estate and succession planning, and we assist our clients in many non-legal business services like recruiting and business development. We want our clients to feel confident in their choices and to help them resolve any issues or potential problems quickly and efficiently so they can get back to what they love, running their businesses. More than just litigators, we are trusted advisors, problem solvers, and growers of businesses. Let us help you and your company. Call us or find us online to learn more. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.